You don't need more time. You need a decision. Because the gap between who you are right now and who you keep imagining at night isn't made of luck. It's made of hesitation. And if you're honest, you've been negotiating with your own potential for a long time. You tell yourself you'll step up when you feel ready, when you feel confident, when the fear quiets down, when life gets easier, when you finally become the kind of person who can do it. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Readiness is not a feeling, it's a consequence. It comes after you act. And tonight, we're going to talk about one decision that changes everything. Act as if you're the best. Not in the loud way, not in the arrogant way, not in the insecure attention-seeking way, in the calm way, in the disciplined way, in the though I don't need applause to do what's right way. Stay with me. Because in a few minutes, I'm going to show you why this mindset feels fake at first. Why that's exactly why it works. And the one twist that makes it dangerous if you misunderstand it. By the end, you'll have a simple daily method, a way to move like a serious person again, even if your confidence is at zero. This entire idea is rooted in Stoic thinking, control, response, virtue, standards, and the quiet power of daily practice. Let's start at the beginning. There's a moment that shows up in almost every life. It's subtle. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with dramatic music. You just notice one day that your current way of living doesn't fit anymore. You're still doing the same things, still talking to the same people, still working the same job, still moving through the same routine. But inside, something has shifted and it starts to bother you. Not because you're weak, but because you're waking up. This is when most people make a mistake. They interpret discomfort as proof they should stop. They feel tension and think, this isn't for me. They feel fear and think I'm not capable. They feel doubt and think I should wait. Stoicism flips that interpretation. The Stoics would say, your feelings are not your commander. They are your weather. They can be loud. They can be uncomfortable. But they don't get to decide your direction. Direction comes from principle. So when we say act as if you're the best, we're not saying feel like the best. We're saying something far more powerful. Behave like someone who takes themselves seriously, because behavior is a vote. Every action is a vote for the person you become. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you are voting. Every time you choose courage over avoidance, you are voting. Every time you keep your word when nobody is watching, you are voting. And over time, the votes add up. Most people don't realize how much of their identity is just repetition. They don't become confident. They practice confident actions long enough that confidence becomes familiar. They don't become disciplined. They practice discipline long enough that sloppiness feels strange. They don't become powerful. They practice power quietly until weakness no longer feels like home. Now here's the part that hits hard. The reason this works is the same reason your life might feel stuck. You've been acting like who you currently believe you are, not who you could be. And that's why your days keep repeating. Because you keep casting the same actor in the same role, even if you hate the script. So what happens when you decide to cast a new version of yourself, not later? Now, that is the moment your life changes. Not because the world changes, but because your standard does. And standards are everything. A low standard is invisible self-betrayal. It's saying, this is fine when you know it isn't. It's saying, I'll start tomorrow when you've said it for years. It's saying, that's just how I am, when you're really describing a habit you've never challenged. But the best version of you doesn't negotiate with the basics. They don't negotiate with sleep. They don't negotiate with integrity. They don't negotiate with effort. They don't negotiate with the promises they make to themselves. And before you say, yeah, but I'm not that person, listen carefully. You don't have to be that person to begin behaving like that person. This is where people get confused. They think you must become strong before you lift. No, you lift to become strong. They think you must become confident before you speak. No, you speak to become confident. They think they must become disciplined before they change their habits. No, you change your habits to become disciplined. Action first, identity later. That's the secret. Now, I want to address the obvious objection. You might be thinking, but I'm not the best. I'm not even close. I'm behind. I'm messy. I've failed. I don't feel impressive. Good. That honesty is useful. Because acting as if you're the best does not mean lying to yourself. It means refusing to let your current level dictate your current behavior. Let me give you an image. Imagine you're learning to play piano. You're not good yet. Your hands are clumsy. Your timing is off. Your notes are wrong. Now imagine you sit down and say, since I'm not good yet, I'll practice like a lazy person. Do you see the problem? You're reinforcing the identity you don't want. But if you sit down and practice like a professional, you still make mistakes. You still sound rough, but your posture changes. Your attention sharpens. Your relationship with yourself changes. You're no longer practicing like a person who hopes. You're practicing like a person who commits. That's the whole mindset. You're not claiming you've arrived. You're claiming you belong on the path. And you do. Now let's get practical, because act as if you're the best can sound abstract. So what does it look like in real life? It looks like not letting your mood decide your schedule. It looks like doing the important thing first, not last. It looks like being early, not because you're anxious, because you respect time. It looks like preparing, not because you're afraid, because you're serious. It looks like speaking cleanly, not for performance, but because your words create your reality. It looks like keeping your promises, even small ones, especially small ones, because small promises are where self-trust lives. And if you don't have self-trust, your confidence is just noise. The best version of you is not louder. They are steadier. They don't need a dramatic new personality. They need consistent standards. Now here's the prediction gap I promised you. If you actually live this way for 30 days, your life will change in a way you didn't expect. Not because you'll suddenly become rich. Not because everything will magically work out. But because you'll start to fear yourself less. you'll realize your problem was never lack of potential. It was lack of proof. You didn't have evidence that you could rely on yourself. So your mind stayed cautious. Your confidence stayed unstable. Your motivation stayed fragile. Because why would your brain trust you? If you keep abandoning yourself, acting as if you're the best creates proof. Proof is what turns I hope into I know. And once you know, you can rely on yourself. The world feels different. Challenges feel smaller. People's opinions feel lighter. Your goals feel reachable. Not because you're better than others, because you're finally aligned. But we need to talk about the danger, because every powerful idea can be misused. Some people here act as if you're the best, and they turn it into ego. They become loud. They become defensive. They become obsessed with appearing superior. That's not greatness. That's insecurity wearing a costume. Stoicism would call that slavery. Slavery to opinions, slavery to attention, slavery to status. The Stoic version of the best is different. It's virtue, it's integrity, it's doing the right thing even when it costs you. It's staying grounded when you win. It's staying steady when you lose. It's not needing others to clap for you, because you're not performing, you're practicing. So here's the twist. The real test of acting as if you're the best is how you behave when nobody benefits you. How you treat people who can't help you. How you treat your future self. How you treat your body. How you speak when you're tired. How you act when you could easily get away with being lazy. That's where character is forged. Not in the spotlight, in the ordinary moments. Now, let's talk about doubt. Because doubt is the thing that tries to sabotage this whole mindset. Doubt says, who are you to act like the best? You're not ready. You're behind. You'll fail. People will judge you. And here's what the Stoics would tell you. Doubt is not an argument. It's a sensation. It feels convincing, but it isn't proof. It's like a barking dog behind a gate. Loud, aggressive, but not always dangerous. The mistake is when you step back every time it barks, because then the dog trains you, and you live smaller. So the Stoic approach is simple. Notice doubt. Don't obey it. Ask one question. What is within my control right now? Not next month. Not after I feel ready. Right now. Maybe it's making one phone call. Maybe it's writing one page. Maybe it's going for a walk. Maybe it's saying no to the thing that drains you. Maybe it's cleaning your space. Maybe it's drinking water. Maybe it's apologizing. Maybe it's showing up. The best version of you is not built by giant heroic moments. It's built by small, controlled choices done with consistency. Now let's talk about failure. Because if you're going to live like the best, you must make peace with failure. Not tolerate it. Use it. Most people treat failure like a verdict. They fail and decide, I'm not good enough. I'm not talented. I'm not meant for this, But failure is not a verdict. It's data, it's feedback, it's reality speaking to you. And the Stoics were clear about this. What stands in the way becomes the way. The obstacle is not blocking the path. It is the path. If you fail, you learn. If you learn, you improve. If you improve, you become dangerous in the best way. Because now, you're not fragile. You're adaptable. And adaptability is power. Here's a quick mental shift that changes how failure feels. Don't ask, "Why did this happen to me?" Ask, "What does this teach me about my standards?" Because failure often reveals one of three things: you didn't prepare enough, you didn't persist long enough, or you tried to control what you cannot control. And once you see which one it is, you can adjust. That's Stoic progress, not perfection. Progress. Now let's make this even more real. Imagine two people. Same goal, same talent level, same starting point. One person waits until they feel ready. They watch videos, they plan, they think, they overthink, they research. They tell themselves they're being smart, but secretly, they're avoiding the risk of looking foolish. The other person acts as if they're the best student in the room. They show up early. They practice daily. They ask better questions. They take feedback without collapsing. They fail without drama. They adjust. They keep going. After a year, these two people won't even be comparable. Not because one is gifted, because one decided. That's the power we're talking about. Now I'm going to give you a daily method. It's simple. It's not motivational. It's not based on hype. It's based on standards. Every morning, ask yourself, what would the best version of me do in the first hour? Not the perfect version, the best version. Then choose 3 actions, only 3. Make them small enough to complete, but meaningful enough to matter. For example, 1 action for your body, 1 action for your craft, 1 action for your character. Body walk, stretch, hydrate, real food, sleep discipline. Craft right, build practice study, create. Character honesty, patience, courage, kindness, restraint. Then you do them, no debate. You don't wait for motivation. You move first. And when your mind says this doesn't matter, you answer, this is how the best version of me lives. Now, there's one more layer. Because acting as if you're the best is not just what you do. It's what you tolerate. Pay attention to what you tolerate. You tolerate messy boundaries. You tolerate constant distraction. You tolerate people who drain you. You tolerate your own excuses. You tolerate habits that steal your future. And every time you tolerate what is beneath your standard, you train yourself to live beneath your potential. So part of this mindset is subtraction, not adding more goals, removing what is weakening you. And the strongest people don't remove things violently. They remove things quietly. They stop replying to nonsense. They stop feeding drama. They stop negotiating with habits that harm them. They stop giving their energy to what doesn't deserve it. That's the calm power of self-respect. Now let's talk about something people rarely mention. Acting as if you're the best changes your energy. Not in a mystical way, in a practical way. You stop leaking. You stop spending mental fuel on, should I, what if, maybe later. I don't know. I'm not ready. Decision saves energy. Indecision burns it. So when you decide, your mind becomes quieter. Not because life becomes easy, because your direction becomes clear, and clarity is calming. This is why disciplined people look peaceful. Not because they have fewer problems, because they have fewer internal arguments. Now, here's another retention point. A lot of people think they need a big purpose to act with power. They think they need a grand mission. But the Stoics would say, your purpose is to live well, to act with virtue, to meet each moment with the best of your character. And that can be done anywhere. In a small room, in a crowded city, in a difficult job, in a quiet season, in a chaotic season. The best version of you is not location dependent. They're principle dependent. So even if your life is messy right now, even if you're behind, even if you've wasted time, you can still act with excellence today. Not because the past doesn't matter, but because the past is not in your hands. The present is, and that's enough. Now, I want to gently challenge you. Because if this message is hitting you, it's probably because you already know what you need to do. You've known for a while. You just haven't decided to become the person who does it. So, here's a question that cuts through noise. If you truly believed you were capable, what would you do this week? Not someday. This week. Would you apply? Would you start? Would you train? Would you leave? Would you apologize? Would you commit? Whatever answer appears, that's your next step. And here's the Stoic way to handle the fear attached to it. Don't try to eliminate fear. Just stop letting fear vote. Let fear ride in the car, but don't let it drive. Now let's close with something important. Because if you really take this on, your life will start to change. And when it changes, something strange can happen. People around you might resist it, not because they hate you, but because your growth reflects their comfort. Your discipline mirrors their excuses. Your standards expose their stagnation. So, be ready, not to fight them, but to stay steady, to grow without needing permission, to become better without needing applause. That is a sign you're doing it right, because the best version of you doesn't need the crowd to agree. They need their conscience to be clean. So tonight, choose. Not a mood, not a wish, not a plan, a decision, a standard. Act as if you're the best, the calm best, the disciplined best, the honest best, the version of you that doesn't run. And here's the open end to sit with. If you begin living this way and you stop betraying yourself, what kind of life becomes possible that you can't even imagine yet? In the next video, we'll go deeper into the Stoic skill that makes this sustainable. How to stay consistent when motivation dies and how to build an identity that doesn't collapse under stress. For now, take one action today. One. And do it like someone who has already decided.